Most of us walk through life with a quiet assumption. We believe our thoughts, anxieties, and the constant voice in our head belong entirely to us. We picture the mind as a locked room, a private fortress where we sit alone, carefully deciding what to think and how to feel, completely isolated from the outside world. But human psychology doesn't work that way. The locked room is an illusion. Instead, the mind is characterized by cognitive permeability. It functions much more like a highly absorbent sponge. Through this porous boundary, invisible forces cross over. We steadily draw in the ambient energy, the deeply held beliefs, and the raw emotional states of the people we spend our days with. This process does not pause. It is constant, it is relentless, and it operates entirely underneath the radar of your conscious awareness. Because of this silent absorption, the physical and social spaces you inhabit actively construct your daily perception of reality. Navigating life with the belief that your mind is an isolated fortress leaves you without a defense against the forces constantly reshaping your inner world. To see exactly how external influence bypasses our mental defenses, we have to look at the mechanics of emotional exposure. Fear is the clearest example of this. This chart tracks the insidious nature of gradual exposure. Negativity doesn't trigger an immediate change. Instead, over time, your baseline for normal slowly trends downward. Because this decline is so gradual, it bypasses your psychological alarms. It just feels natural. The drip is continuous. It comes from casual pessimistic conversations, the daily cycle of media consumption, and ambient anxieties of your peers. The ultimate consequence is that external noise eventually crosses the psychological threshold. It stops being something you hear and becomes your own internal, autonomous thinking. Long before modern psychology mapped this process, the phenomenon was documented in the classic text, Think and Grow Rich. This text documents a specific human vulnerability, the way a person's surroundings eventually dictate their internal monologue. The author, Napoleon Hill, issued a specific warning regarding environmental influence. He observed that repeated negative exposure inevitably rewires a person's internal thought patterns. The end state of ignoring this warning is quiet but devastating. Other people's deeply held fears slowly transplant themselves into your mind until they operate as your own authentic fears. The greatest threat to independent thought is not aggressive indoctrination. It is your own quiet, voluntary exposure to toxic environments. Recognizing this vulnerability is the first step toward conscious defense. The hidden dangers of the external world require active awareness. You must establish a strict rule for cognitive defense. Carefully audit exactly which external voices and opinions are granted space inside your head. Society often conditions us to feel guilt for setting these boundaries. But filtering the input you receive is a necessary act of psychological preservation. Creating physical and emotional distance is how you rebuild the boundary. Establishing this deliberate distance is often the only reliable method to silence the absorbed noise, separate your thoughts from the crowd, and regain true mental clarity. Pay close attention to the specific conversations, the media, and the environments you choose to tolerate on a daily basis. Because the external environment you accept today is the literal architecture of the inner world you will be forced to inhabit.